Alrighty, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anderson, and today we are joined by the lovely Sam DuPont, a distinguished UX designer from SAS. And today she'll be talking to you all about SAS Studio and a next level transformation. If you guys have any questions, please save them for the end, and over to you.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Anderson. Can everybody hear me? It's kind of weird looking at you, look like a rave party about to happen or something. So I'm Sam. Big words, right? Next level transformation. It's kind of setting ourselves up, but we're really excited that coming actually next month is a big rewrite of SAS Studio. So who in the audience uses SAS Studio now? All right. What about EG? EG lovers here? What about DI? Okay, not so many, but well, that's really good because one of the things that what we're planning to do, or what we've been doing for a while, but we're getting better at it, and when we're rolling out this new studio in June, as I mentioned, it's going to be faster. So what you've been doing in Studio right now, currently, and you're comparing it to desktop, like you're comparing your experience to EG, and you're comparing your experience to DI. SAS Studio right now, we freely admit it, it's kind of slow. There's performance is lacking. And we've had to work with the architecture that we've been working with for like almost 10 years now. So, a legacy. And over the years, we've also been building things that you've wanted. We've added to SAS Studio. We've added many data sources. We're a web-based application right now, not a desktop like DI and EG. We program. That's where we started. Our beginning was in SAS programming, and then we've added Python programming. We're also going to be adding R, programming in R as well, coming in the future, and Lua as well will be coming down the pipe as well. DI, EG users, we've started building these flows in Studio, and one of the big things that we've heard from all you guys is, bring in more parity. We want to migrate our EG projects and our DI flows into SAS Studio. So we're getting better at it. We're faster, hopefully a little easier as we merge the two worlds together. We have custom steps. I don't know if anybody knows about custom steps. In EG, in DI, they used to be called transformations. In Studio, they're called custom steps. And they're a little bit different. They're more of a drag and drop approach to building these custom steps. Does anybody, you probably don't know what custom steps are. You know what they are? They're kind of like, you can create your own forms. You can drag and drop controls. You create your own forms. You have SAS program to create the intelligence, and you can save them, and they're reusable. So you can set these up around your organization, and you share them. You can put them to flows. You can also run them standalone, which is a new thing in Studio as well. So you don't need to use a flow. I know some of you out there, programmers, don't like to use flows. You don't have to use flows. We integrate with Git. I know some people can't integrate with Git, like pharmaceutical companies, but a lot of you like to connect and collaborate using Git. Who uses Git around? Who's familiar with Git? Okay. Who's actually on V9 still and moving to VIA? Okay. And speaking of moving, we're also trying to move, as we move away from programming, well, not away from programming, we want to integrate more of the low-code, no-code users, but at the same time, we want to teach people how to use SAS. So, like we have a query. It's a very powerful, we call them steps or functionality, and that's just one example of point and click, where you can point and you can click and you can do your joins, you can do your selects, but then we generate the SAS code for you. And a lot of people use this for training, to train their new SAS users coming up, how to use the SAS language, etc. So that's that's kind of like the past. And I've mentioned, so why are we updating? Why did we spend 2 years taking the architecture of SAS Studio right now and just totally rebuilding it? Well, like I mentioned, the architecture was old, was slower, and so that's one of the main focuses of SAS Studio, is to increase the performance. Usability as well. We've heard a lot of your feedback. We've met with a lot of customers, Nestle, Poston, ConocoPhillips. I can go on and on about all those fantastic customers that we've been interviewing and talking to and getting feedback from a lot of people. So we're trying to improve our usability as well. Whether you're working in a program, whether you're working in flows, it doesn't matter. We're trying to improve with this new update. And one of the most exciting things I find is that because we're on this new architecture, we can build future requirements from our customers faster. And so that's another exciting thing, that we don't have to wait 6 months or a year. We can do a more agile approach, which is another exciting thing, I think, for everybody. So we all know change is hard, right? You get used to your workflows, you get used to the way you work. And one of our goals I'm a designer, and as one of my goals, even though we want to modernize, we want to get more usable, we also want to remember that you guys are used to a certain workflow. You guys are, you don't want to have too much change. Change is okay, change is good, it's healthy, keeps the little gray cells going, but you don't want too much. So we try to keep the same sort of look and feel, so you know where you are, you're familiar. So that's one thing that we have tried to do, but at the same time, being new, coming up. So through my presentation, I'm going to talk about 5 big areas that we've improved. It won't be everything that we've done, but at least it'll give you a glimmer into the areas that we've put a lot of focus on. Again, responding to a lot of the feedback that you've given us. We've improved our access to data across VIA, so not only in Studio, so our connection to data sources, and we have a ton of them, is going to be the same, whether you're in the Data Explorer outside of Studio or inside Studio, it'll be the same experience, which of course is a win-win for you because you don't have to relearn things. We have better data handling. So one of the things, and what I mean by that is, when you open up a data set or you open up a database table, the data viewer that we have right now, it's, again, being honest, it's not very performant. You have to click to go, you have to page, and it's, we can only show you like 100 rows at a time. You can have so many columns. It's frustrating, and we know that, and we've heard it. So that was one of the big areas that we've done a lot of work in to improve that performance, and I'll demonstrate that later. For those programmers, we've improved programming. Again, I'll get into that later. So hopefully it will be a little faster environment, more productive for you. We've definitely done some enhancements around building flows. And we also have you guys interested in scheduling jobs, a lot of automation going along, scheduling. We have a consolidated view now that I'd be very proud to show you. So not to beat a drum too much, but performance is at the heart. And this is the foundation of which we started, and we started to build SAS Studio. And we've had a couple of adopter programs going along in the last couple of months. And my favorite quote was, "It feels like a desktop application." And this is really cool because we're in the web and we have a lot of resource constraints and we're on the browser. But for it to be a desktop application, I think it's really gonna, feel a whole lot better to everybody who's used to e.g. used to the desktop applications. So again, really excited. And sometimes you don't even know you wanted it. And this was a quote from another early adopter. And I am going to, so this is I'm going to talk about this. So what am I saying? So one of the things that I love, and new people coming into Studio love, is that they could never figure out the icons on the left-hand side. Training, when you're in training and you're trying to teach people, was really, really difficult. But now you can see the actual panes on the left-hand side. Another thing that I really love, and I use a lot, is what I call sticky folders. I know this seems really silly, but it's really, really awesome to see all your open folders right there. If I can work this thing, right there. And I don't know why, it's just a really cool thing that we've introduced all over Studio. And where we don't have it, people are like, where are my sticky folders? So it's become a thing. I'm just letting you know right now, it's become a thing. So just to reiterate, we're trying to improve the onboarding for new SaaS people coming into SaaS Studio, for new people coming to SaaS Studio. We've introduced these new sticky folders concept, and which I didn't show you, but again, I can't show you everything, but we have other things like showing more metadata right in these areas as well, which everybody likes to see. Maybe you want to sort by date modified, just little things like that. So now we start getting into a little bit more nitty-gritty stuff. So one of the things that we've heard is I work with Excel spreadsheets. And in the current version, I cannot change my metadata. So I cannot come in here and I cannot munge with my labels or change my characters or anything. So we've introduced that into Excel, and for some of you it's like, why? But for other people it's very, very important. The other thing is it's the same experience. Whether you work in Flow or whether you work on a standalone, it's the same experience. And here I'm showing you importing an Excel spreadsheet. I get to see all the sheets. I get to choose which sheets I want to import. Maybe I don't want to import them all. I get to choose my library. I get to analyze the Excel spreadsheet. And I do this whether I'm in a Flow or standalone. Again, we always think not everybody wants to work in a Flow. And the same experience, you can come in here and modify your, and of course you can run the import. Just reiterating, it's the same options whether you're in standalone or you're in the Flow. And that's one of the things that we try to keep in mind as well as we've done this major upgrade. Keep everything consistent. Don't assume that you want to work in a Flow. Don't assume that you want to work outside of Flow. So just trying to keep all of your requirements in mind as we've done this upgrade. So importantly, maybe I skipped over this earlier, but we didn't import from a local file in our current version of Studio, and now you can. You can modify your data in Excel right now. Of course, you can modify this in CSV and other file types, but Excel is the new one. It's a big one, and it's very important. Simplifying access to data. This is the connection I was talking about that's going to be consistent throughout VIA. So we have 80 plus data sources that you can connect to, and it's really as simple as 1, 2, 3. You select your data source, you fill in your details, you can test your connection, you can see the log, you can save and connect. When you save, the connection will be connected for you, and you can also save those definitions for use later. And you can also edit them, and not everybody wants to have all their connections running at once. So you can disconnect them, reconnect them whenever you want to. So this is actually one of my favorite things to demo if you come to the booth, because a lot of this is very experiential. You really want to experience how fast it is. I mean, it's not much fun just watching a video, but if you come over to the booth, we can actually show you, and you can maybe play with it and feel how fast it is. So I'm going to show you here. I'll try. I'm going to open up I'm going to show you the save definitions. I'm going to show you the data source selection. So here you can filter your data sources. You can see them all. You can see we have a huge list. It's your standard. Create your connection name. Fill in the details. You can filter. You filter. It tells you there's 3 matches, which is really convenient. Your connection is now saved. I can edit it. I can go connect it. Because my flow on the right-hand side, if you can see the NC cities over there, it's a snowflake table. I can see by the little S on the table. So I know I needed to go connect to Snowflake to get my flow to run because it's referencing my Snowflake table. The other thing that's really cool is now you can search your libraries and your tables. So we have a little syntax that you use. And I also want to expand on the performance and not, only showing a certain number of data. If you saw on the previous screen, we would show like 99 columns, then there'll be a more, and you have to click on that to get a dialogue, and then you're like, oh my goodness. Whereas there you saw that we could just scroll and scroll and scroll, so we don't have limits as we did in the old world. We can see more and more data. So here I'm opening up a table, a data set. I can scroll. You can see the number of rows increasing. So this is a database. If I had opened up a SAS data set, I would have seen the number of rows, the total number of rows. But because we're a database, we can't actually get the row number, the row count immediately. But if you scroll, we will increase, we will figure out the row count, and as you keep scrolling, we will just keep adding. We're also going to add the ability to, in the future releases, if you can click on that, it'll go calculate the number of rows for you, because I know that's a really important thing for you guys. Copy and paste from Excel, we can now copy and paste into Excel. We can select a range of columns, paste it into Excel, paste it into a program. You couldn't do that in the current version of Studio. So as you can see, I just pasted that directly into a SAS program, which for programmers is very powerful. So what I'm doing here is I'm typing in some filters. I'm filtering a table. I do this all day, every day. I'm working my table. I'm exploring. I'm creating really, maybe big expressions to just discover stuff in my table, and then I can go back and I can recall my filters. I also have these quick filters for people who don't want to code in SAS, they don't want to filter, so I can come in here and I can do a quick filter. There's an and and an or, very simple. Again, more point and click to those people who don't want to use code. And it's the same whether you're in a flow or standalone. So I've opened up the same table here in the flow, and my filters have persisted. So I'm not losing the work that I did earlier in the day. I can come back and I'm like, whoa, they're already there. Saves me a lot of time. Productivity gains. So we think that's pretty cool, very useful. This actually was a direct request from Janssen of Johnson & Johnson. So they're really excited to see this because we spent a couple of days with them. They gave us a lot of feedback on the table and how non-performant it was. And so a lot of those things that you've just seen worked directly as a result of meeting with customers, listening to their feedback, and then getting it into the pipeline. Again, the ability to copy and paste cells is way improved. You can copy with headers, without headers. You can directly into Excel programs. You can record the recent expressions. There's more on-the-fly, no-code filtering as well. So for those of you who program, not everybody programs, but for those of you who program, how many of you use VS Code, Microsoft Visual Studio Code? Okay, that's really cool. So one of the things is we're actually using the same editor, the Monaco editor that VS Code uses, which is really exciting because as a programmer, it will feel the same. It'll have the same experience. So for example, if you're like coming in here and you're just going to type, try and find the syntax, it's the same experience in VS Code. If you go to VS Code and you do the same thing, it'll look the same, it'll feel the same. We have the mini map over there. So I know some of you programmers have like millions of lines of code. So that mini map on the right side is the way to really quickly navigate your large programs very quickly. And we have regex find and replace. That was a big request because the find right now is, again, we're lacking it. But this is VS Code's find and replace. So whatever you do there, it'll be applicable here as well. So these are all like the little things that we're trying to do to make all our users happier. And we hope that we're doing that. So again, improved code completion, more, robust find and replace, quick navigation, and there's so many more other things that I could spend time and talk about. So moving on, as I rush through this, I just feel like I talk about everything for an hour, so having to talk about this in a short period of time, it's definitely a challenge. So flows, how many of you work in flows? Okay, not that, I'm surprised. I would expect, Frank, I would expect more people to work in flows. Do most of you work in programs? Is that and it's mainly in SAS? SAS, do you program in Python? I'm gonna take a moment to breathe. Program, okay. So as you can see, our flows, Python or SAS program, we don't care. You can. So one of the things, it's a small thing, but as a visual designer, as a designer, I really enjoy the, again, silly thing. It's a curved arrow, which may seem silly, but it's actually a nice visual. It helps your eyes travel through the flow instead of coming to this, like right now it's like more square. So it was a very subtle thing, but still something that we had to code and think about. So one of the other things is, as I talk about that, another thing that we've done in the flow, if you work there, is right now the design statuses only show you one issue at a time, which is very frustrating. You're working in a flow and you don't know the whole set of things that you have to do to get that one step to run, because there are required fields, right? Whether it's the name is required or you got to select your columns. So the design status, we decided to give you more of a list for you to quickly, like a little checklist. These are the things I have to do to get this step in the flow to be runnable. So that's a pretty exciting thing as well. And we're trying to, in the future, get a more robust reporting as well. But this sets us up, again, for that future to enable us to do that more robust reporting and maybe a bit of auditing and everything. Some of the other things that we do, that we now do is, I don't know, in the current studio, or depending on what version you're on, we had these things called tasks, which are now custom steps. They were transformations in DI. We like to change names on you. So right now we have about 150 steps that are pre-built steps for you to use in your flows, or you can open some of them standalone as well. One of the things is that, dealing with these 150 steps is very confusing. There's a lot to navigate, scroll through. So you can actually, we put the power back in your hands to be able to say, I don't want to see these steps. I don't want to see these categories of steps. A small thing, but again, getting the clutter out of your way. You don't want to see it, you don't use it, you don't need it, get it out of the way. A lot of questions from customers coming to the booth in the last couple of days about automation. So a lot of our customers, they set up flows, or they have programs or jobs, like job definitions. You can set up a scheduling. But how do you, where do you go find all your scheduled jobs? Where do you see them? And so now we have this single tab here, the single view in which you can see all your submissions. And so these are the submissions that you submit through the UI. So if I manually click a flow or manually submit my program, I can see the status of errors, and this one ran with an error, this one ran to completion successfully. And then we also have the monitoring of jobs. So if you deploy jobs, you can monitor them. Instead of having to go to Environment Manager to see that, you can now see it all in Studio. And you can see and you can manage your scheduled jobs as well. So consolidation, bringing everything into one place for you to easily, at a glance, see where you are. Again, just making it more easy for you to be faster, because we all want to be fast. And one of the things that so a slight, move your cheese. A lot of people do background submits. I don't know if you've done that in Studio, those who are using it. You can go to a file, you can do a background submit, which is kind of like an immediate scheduled job, just one time. So we've moved that, just a little thing. People go to the submissions tab to find it, but it's now on this tab. But you can still get to them. This was a big request by Nestle. So we came up with they had a use case that, because the current studio right now, you only see your jobs, the things that you submit. Nestle came to us and they said, well, I go on vacation. Now I don't know how to see all the jobs that are being run. How do I see the other users that are authorized to see these jobs? How do I see that and manage it? That was a big moment for us. So now we have a choice that you can see all the jobs of all the authorized users for those jobs that have been run, submitted. So they were really excited and very happy. So basically, as I've said, I think the whole of this presentation and the whole goal of the studio, this big transformation, is just being faster. Is being more productive, not only faster in terms of like runtime and clicking on a step and having it quickly display the UI below the step in the flow, or the code running faster, or you interact with the program faster. But it's just the whole feeling of just speed and your productivity, and that's really what we wanted to achieve with this first release coming out and getting better. And so I don't know how to say it better than that. We just want to improve Studio more and more, but at the same time, we think we've done a really good job of this transformation coming up. So I know a lot of you, I think I've sped through this really fast. A lot of you are going to say, well, what's next? Because it's always what's next, right? It's like no matter what, it's always, what are we going to do next? But it's really exciting. And on the top of our list, I know there's going to be a couple of people in the back there who are really happy to see on the top of the list is looping and parameters. Used to be called, what they called prompts in EG. Those are coming in the next months into Q1 of next year. So those are on the top of our list. We have more steps coming. Like 150 aren't enough. We're going to give you more. Data step debugger is going to be coming. One of the big things that people are looking forward to, it's already in development, is impact analysis. If you work in DI and data integration, you know what this is already. You can pick a table. You can ask, what's the impact of this table, and it'll show you like all the flows that are impacted by this table, that use this table. And you can also right-click on a column, and you can say, where is this column being used, upstream or downstream? And so that's something that people are really excited to see. That's coming in, I think, about Q3. So it's already in development. So that's something to look forward to, other than this June release. Search, improve search. We know people like to search. It's something that we're definitely working on. We have search in the libraries pane right now, but we're going to introduce it into all the other panes as well. So your feedback is how we build better. I mean, really, that's the basics of why we're here, is we can only do better if we get feedback from you guys and your customers, or even SaaS people. Just come and tell us. So that's it. Come and, I know we have an hour left of Innovate, of the hub, but come to our booth. Alexei is our the product manager. He's at the back over there. We would love to talk to you if you haven't. I've already seen some familiar faces. You're already coming by and visited us, so come on by and talk to us, and we can get into more detail, because this was very high level and very fast, because that's all about speed. Questions?
Does the log still terminate?
Does the log still terminate? Can you give more information?
So right now we've been testing moving to VIA.
Yeah.
And if the log gets too long, it terminates and stops all functionality with logs.
So we do have a limit because of performance, and it fills up the DOM, and then you're going to crash. So there is a setting, you can go change it. I don't know if you've been playing with that.
Yeah, we've put it up to 100,000 and it still crashes at 24,000 every time.
It does. Okay. Well, come by and let us know.
Can I ask another one?
Yeah.
Can you look at more than one table at a time?
Can you open up one more table at a time?
If you want to compare two data
Yes.
sets next to each other, can you look at them?
Yes, you can. In fact, I should have. Yeah. So we have a lot of. We worked on actually. Bad. I didn't talk about this, and I wish I could do live. You know, here I would show you. So if you come to the booth, I'll show you. So you can take a tab. You can drag it to the right side. You can drag it to the bottom. You can have programs side to side. You can go crazy with your tab layout.
Can you please describe the sticky folders a bit?
A bit more that I fly through that.
What exactly are those?
Oh, so it's a navigation. It's a navigation helper, right? So I don't know if you've ever. I know. So I have huge structures of data. So if I have a folder with like 100 files in it, and then I have another folder, and I open that, and I know some of you had like 14 levels deep of folders, and if you scroll, you're like, okay, which folder am I on? I don't know which folder I'm on. So the ones that are open, stay open at the top. And so you'll always see your folder structure of where your files are. So it keeps you kind of oriented where you are in your folder structure. It's just a nice little thing that's useful. And what I find it useful for, actually, in the libraries pane, if I'm trying to fill out like a library, a lib.name, a library and its name, and I'm looking at my left-hand side, and I've scrolled my 15,000 tables in a library, I still see the name of the library there. So I can just, instead of having to scroll all the way back up to the library name, I've forgotten what it was, it's right there. So I don't lose that information about where I am. Does that kind of help you? Yeah, you got to play with it and see it, because it's kind of one of those, again, experiential things, but it's really cool. Yes, sir. No, this is only on VIA 4, and it's in the 2025.06 release, so they will not be in, yeah. We don't do any work, unfortunately, on V9 or the VIA 3.5 stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. With all of those like 80 plus external data connections, do
Yeah.
a lot of the drivers that are required to make those work, do they ship with the platform, or do they require additional configuration?
I can't answer that definitively, but most of them ship with the platform, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah.
Is this the same thing as SAS Studio Next that I saw at the booth over there?
Yes. Although we're not gonna, that was an internal name. So you'll never see Studio Next externally. But it's the same thing. Just looks better at the booth, I think, right?
So with the change of the editor,
Yes.
the idea is we're temporarily losing the current debugger. It's not in this first one, and then it's going to roll out again. Is that the idea?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to make the first release, but it'll be definitely phased in. So do you use that a lot, the data step debugger?
I use it for our last client, especially. I wound up using it a lot.
Okay.
So I don't always use it, but I used it a whole lot with my last client.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, that's definitely on our roadmap, because we don't want to take away something that we know was very important to a lot of our customers, so that's definitely on the roadmap.
So for the schedule job,
Uh-huh.
is it possible to automatically run the auto-exec if I have auto-exec in my folder, and you schedule your job and then first run the auto-exec and run your program?
So your auto exec will run when you open up, right?
I have to first run the
Right.
auto-exec and then run the program. So when you schedule the job,
Uh-huh.
it will be first the kick on the auto-exec and then your job or not.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Alexei, but I think when you schedule a job, it doesn't actually use the Studio Auto Exec.
Just to clarify,
Yeah.
in our pharma world, sometimes we have auto execs per every study in the folder with the other programs.
Oh,
So he's wondering if we can specify a file to go before
Yes.
the
so
program
you
that
can-
runs.
Yep. So you can schedule because it's a separate file, right? So you can schedule that file and then 2 minutes later schedule the other file to run or whatever it is. But it's
They'd
not
have
like
to run together.
oh, they have to run together. I would put them in a flow and then schedule the flow. That's not what you want to hear, huh?
Oh, we hit a road bug with that because there's macro variables that don't exist in flows that exist in SAS Studio, so that it crashes things. But we've been going
Okay.
around on this, so it was just a question.
You should come.
Is this at the Try It booth?
You mean on our booth, the SAS Studio booth?
Oh, there's a Try It Out booth
A
over
Try
there
It
with
Out booth?
laptops. Is this new version over there to play
I don't
with?
think so, no. Because it hasn't been released yet, so we couldn't put it up to, yep. Oh, Anderson?
Because I think that the auto exec will run depending on the context which you use, I think.
Yeah, so in terms of the auto exec file, so when you schedule a flow, so then basically there should be an option to include auto exec. So we do not have right now what you are asking exactly to specify custom auto exec file. So, but this is something what we can do as a feature request. I mean, well, in a normal future, yeah.
Anybody
Who
else?
Awesome. We love questions.
Sorry, I know. So I know you were talking a little bit about the ability for users to share jobs that they have scheduled. So, like, if they were to take a vacation,
Yeah.
they could share visibility to their scheduled jobs with other users. Are those permissions managed? Is
There's-
it through
there's-
SAS Studio or like
No,
Environment
that-
Manager?
it's Environment Manager.
Okay.
So everything's administered by the Environment Manager.
Cool.
So we just,
you.
yeah. Because we're built in VIA, you know, we're part of that whole stack. We just use what Environment Manager has set up. Yep. Yes.
I wanted to ask if you compare to Data Integration Studio, are you going to have because sometimes I hear from developers that they miss some transformations. So are there all the transformation coming?
So based on customer feedback and requests, we have a list of transformations that we're trying to develop in Studio, parity, but it really depends on how much customer information we get.
Okay.
That's driving what we prioritize in terms of building out the equal transformations in Studio. So the ones that we've heard the most right now are looping, so the loop, and then while it's not a step, it's more of a feature, is the parameters / prompts and EG, and then some of the data quality steps that I talked about. There is another list, which I don't recall off the top of my head, but we do have a list. So if there are transformations that you really want from DI, I would definitely put in a feature request, come and talk to Alexei at the booth, and we'll get it into the pipeline, or let you know if it's already on the roadmap.
And the one you say, it will come in 2025, the looping.
The looping one, we're hoping at the end of in Q4 or in Q1, depending on what we can prioritize, and you know how it goes. So, but yes, it's going to be soon, and it's one of the things that's our top priority.
So in Enterprise Guide, my favorite way to use projects was as a bookmark for all my programs I have to run for the same study delivery.
So
Is there any way to have that in Studio or make flows less graphical and more of a list if I just want to throw a bunch of programs in a flow just to have them there?
So you want to bookmark the program inside the program,
So
or
let's say if I have a CRS delivery for a specific study,
yeah,
I was able to save a project out that would have my auto exec, all my programs that would
Right.
potentially my batch run program. And I'm looking to have something of that nature in Studio as well. Just some way to bookmark programs together so I don't have to go through the menu every time to open up, 12
Gotcha.
programs.
okay, yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that one before. It could be it's a new feature. like I said, keep these new features coming. It'll keep me in a job. So thank you. It's like, you know. Anything else? Angus? Anything? Oh, here's one.
Is there a way to disable a certain set of files to be downloaded? Because right now, if you double click on SAS Studio on a particular file, it gets downloaded to your local desktop. So can we like disable?
If you double click on a certain file, it downloads. I have not actually seen that. So if you come to the booth and let me know more information, but
Or maybe change the default download location to something more controlled.
Yeah.
So that
yeah, double clicking really should be opening, and then if you can't open, we get a message saying we can't download it, but it shouldn't automatically download. Is that what you're talking about when you get the message that says download, you click download,
yeah,
and you want to change
the default.
the default?
Yeah.
I can't, I don't know, Alexei. I think it uses the browser setting for your download default.
Okay.
So I think we
probably
can
come
come
back.
check that, but I think that's it uses. Once you hit the download and it goes to the browser, it uses the browser's settings. So but
Okay.
let's go double check that. Anything else? But come to the booth. We've got an hour left before we go to what's it? The streets of New York tonight. Come talk to me. Come talk to Alexei. So don't be shy. Be like, thank you.